Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking some highly counterintuitive relationship dynamics. We're drawing directly from some deeply fascinating source material that looks at family communication, marriage, and personal conflict through an entirely different lens. Seriously, if you think you know how to ask for advice or even why people lie to you, you might want to buckle up. We're going to look at the hidden energy exchanges that literally dictate whether our relationships succeed or totally fail. Okay, let's just dive right into this fascinating question because it really challenges everything we think we know about family communication. Have you ever had a brilliant idea, felt incredibly excited about it, and then the exact moment you tell your partner or your parents, it somehow completely fizzles out? Like the whole thing just falls apart? We've always been taught that communication is a good thing, right? But the really intriguing argument here is that sharing your plans at the wrong time or with the wrong intention actually alters the energy of the project and completely sets you up for failure.
You see, the very act of asking for advice means you intuitively know your idea has a gap that needs filling. You aren't just making small talk here. Think about it. When you're perfectly confident and your plan is flawless, you just do it. You act. The moment you pause to say, hey, what do you think about this? Your internal radar has already detected a flaw. You're subconsciously looking for someone else's energy and perspective to patch up that missing piece.
Now here's where it gets wild. Look at this contrast. If you decide on a course of action and execute it entirely alone, you actually have a really high chance of success. But if you ask for advice because of that subconscious gap we just talked about, and then you completely ignore the advice you receive, the source material says that leads to 100% failure. Zero chance of success. By asking, you invited someone else's energy into the equation. Ignoring their input right after asking for it creates a clash that practically guarantees the whole project will collapse.
And that brings us to a concept known as spoiling the mood, or throwing cold water on a plan. Let's say you excitedly share your finalized plan with your partner, and they frown, disapprove, or just speak negatively about it. You must stop immediately. Why? Because that negative energy fundamentally alters the outcome of the plan. You might have had the most perfect design in the world, but the moment that sour energy is introduced into the mix, the entire endeavor becomes tainted. Proceeding anyway is just a massive recipe for disaster. To really understand the difference between independence and permission, consider this extreme metaphor from the source material. If you know your parents will disapprove of your marriage, go to a deserted island, get married, and come back with a baby. I know, it's intense, right? But asking them for permission and then marrying the person anyway after they say no is incredibly destructive. Acting completely independently without ever seeking permission is actually much safer. The logic is rock solid. Don't ask for a blessing if you aren't fully prepared to accept a rejection.
All right, moving on to our next major theme, the real reason for lies. I know, this statement sounds absolutely shocking. There is nothing as good as a lie. But stick with me here, because we're about to flip how we view deception completely upside down. Lying is actually a perfect, highly useful indicator of a deeper environmental problem. It's like a flashing red warning light on the dashboard of your relationship. It's telling you, loud and clear, that something is fundamentally broken in the way you communicate with each other.
We usually view lying as this terrible moral failing, but it isn't necessarily a character flaw of the speaker. It's an adaptation. Lies happen primarily because telling the truth results in anger, judgment, or conflict. If a child tells their parents the truth and the parents instantly start yelling, the child's brain registers the truth as dangerous. So lying literally becomes an automatic survival response, not some malicious plot. The listener's constant anger builds a harsh environment that forces their loved ones to deceive them just to keep the peace.
So, how do we fix this? If you want to stop the lies in your household, you can't just interrogate or punish the liar. You've got to follow these steps. Step 1, stop the blame game. Just stop. Step 2, look in the mirror and analyze the harsh environment you are providing as a listener. Are you approachable? Do you lose your temper? And step 3, you have to correct your own reactions. When you finally make the environment safe for the truth, the lies will automatically disappear.
But what if you're way past that point? Let's explore marital conflict and the 3-year grace period. We've all heard the huge societal expectation that couples should stay together for the sake of the children. However, sacrificing your life out of stubbornness or societal norms is heavily warned against in the source material. Think about it. If every single discussion turns into a massive toxic clash, holding on to the marriage doesn't protect the kids. It traps absolutely everyone in a poisonous environment. It ruins your life, your partner's life, and, as we'll see in a minute, it severely damages the children's futures too. Instead of forcing a toxic situation for decades, this framework suggests a very structured 3-year path. If you constantly clash, agree to separate, but do it without resentment, then use the next 3 years to live your own way. Now, this isn't a time to just party. It's a time to deeply study your own flaws and shortcomings. It's a period of intense self-reflection. And crucially, you absolutely must not rush into a new relationship during this time.
Because there is a stark, very colorful warning attached to this separation period. The one who avoids dung will accurately step in worse dung. If you just run away from a bad marriage without using that 3-year period to actually fix your own internal flaws, your next relationship will for sure be even worse. You'll dodge one mess, only to step into a much bigger one because you're still carrying the exact same unhealed energy and bad habits into the next dynamic.
Which leads us directly into the real way to help children.
This is perhaps the most profound takeaway regarding family dynamics. The flow of happiness is strictly top-down. You literally cannot go to a temple or a church and beg the universe for your children to be happy if you, as parents, are chronically miserable, frowning, and constantly fighting. If parents sacrifice their joy and live with resentful frowns, the children's lives will remain totally tangled and blocked. But when parents genuinely find joy and smile, the children's lives naturally untangle and succeed on their own.
To wrap all this up, let's zoom out to the big picture. Organizing for a new era.
You see, we aren't just fighting about who does the dishes. We are dealing with generational baggage. Humanity has been accumulating bad relational habits for centuries, leading up to a critical turning point around 2012. We are currently in an era demanding that we clear out these toxic habits. It's a massive generational cleanup. By untangling our communication issues today, we open up a brand new future paradigm for 2013 and beyond, ensuring our descendants don't waste their lives fighting the exact same emotional battles we did.
So, pulling all of this together, the ultimate solution to everyday relational friction is acknowledging our own flaws and our own energy, rather than constantly pointing fingers at everyone else. Whether it's respecting the advice you ask for, realizing your anger is causing your spouse to lie, or finding your own happiness so your kids can thrive, the power rests entirely in how you manage your own internal environment. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought for your next conversation. When you ask your partner or your friend a question today, check your energy. Did you ask with the true intention of listening, or were you just hoping they'd blindly validate a plan you were going to execute anyway? I really hope this explainer helps you navigate your own relationships with a bit more clarity, responsibility, and intention. Until next time, keep learning and keep reflecting.